Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we're doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, which sees a Minecraft movie expected to make well over $100 million in its domestic opening, meaning worldwide, this film could end up making more than the entirety of the box office run for Snow White as of thus far. In fact, even just the domestic opening alone is going to be more than what Snow White has made domestically in its entirety. Snow White expected to only have made $78 million domestic against the Minecraft movie's expected $104 million opening weekend, at least according to Box Office Theory. And this is also going to be, it seems, another case similar to what we saw with Barbie last year, right? If you remember from a year or two ago with Barbie and the box office for that, we saw that the overall traditional box office media was projecting it to have a pretty low opening in comparison to what the film actually ended up doing, whereas sites like Box Office Theory and others, which take into account a lot of other factors than the other other than just the traditional ways that the traditional box office media does, and they ended up being very much correct, and the traditional media ended up being very much incorrect here. So traditional tracking of this movie has it only around $65 million or more, and that is the reason why I think that ultimately we're going to be looking to Box Office Theory, Box Office Pro, Box Office Report probably being a lot better, a lot more accurate, because at least talking to a lot of the audiences that seem to be the ones that this film is being geared towards, yeah, guess what? They're excited to see this movie. Not because they think it's going to be any good, mind you, and in fact, the movie is objectively terrible. The film is just such hot garbage in so many different ways, and yet that is the reason why a lot of people, especially younger people, are wanting to see this movie. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how much money this film is going to be able to actually make and what that will mean for the film going forward, with a $150 million budget at least being reported as of right now. The only reporting on that I've been able to find is on Movie Phone, so take that number with a grain of salt. The film obviously could have cost a little bit more, but it'll be interesting to see exactly how that stands up. The film potentially could be well on its way to even breaking even after its opening weekend, depending on how the film does internationally. And so let's just go ahead and dive into these numbers here. So again, Box Office Theory first, a Minecraft movie, $104 million is what the film is currently projected to make. So between 90 and over 100 million. I think this film probably will make well over 100 million. I think that the sentiment is there, that there is going to be a huge desire for the film, not because, again, I think anyone believes the film will be any good, or not even necessarily because kids are going to be going to see the film with their parents, right? I don't think this is going to be the kind of movie where you see with traditional kids movies where it's like, okay, the family audiences are all going to see it together. You might have some of that obviously over the weekend, but honestly, I think that the main audience for the film that's going to be driving it is going to be teenagers, young adults, people who grew up playing the game, who just want to have fun at the theater and who just want to have the lulls. Now, I don't personally think the film is all that funny, but then again, as many people probably point out in the comments, the film wasn't made for you, it was made for kids. Yes, but even though that is true, even though that might be the case, guess what? There are plenty of kids movies out there that are fantastic. In fact, over on Locals last night, Geeks and Gamers, we just watched Rookie of the Year, a family film from back in the 90s. And guess what? That film is still hilarious, still holds up, and is good for both kids and for parents. That's just not how films seem to be made anymore, or at least there aren't as many of those kinds of movies anymore. Minecraft, I don't think, is that kind of movie. I think that if you are an adult, you're probably going to be very much annoyed by it because it is just, it's just bad. I mean, there's just no other way about it. In fact, many of the rendering effects that at least the version I've been seeing in theaters, is one that's not even having everything fully rendered. So I think that there are a lot of problems objectively with the movie itself, but still, $104 million being projected is a win. This is a huge win for Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has really been struggling at the box office, as we all know, right, with many of these studios struggling. So this is a huge win for them. It looks like they're going to have yet another situation where, hey, at least they have one big winner this year, according to at least the overall projections. We'll see exactly what the week 2 drop-off will be next weekend, but for the opening weekend, it's going to be pretty big for it. Surprisingly, coming in the number 2 spot is going to be MGM's A Working Man. So this film is expected to have a pretty good hold, dropping only 46% according to Box Office Theory. Braves sold domestic to 29.6, so probably a global total near $50-ish million. So it still has a long way to go to break even, but the fact is that the film is doing much better. When a film like that especially is dropping in the 40s in its second weekend, it shows you that there is definitely an audience for this film, that the film is holding pretty well. And I think that as we continue to go through the month of April, getting closer to the Easter season, by the way, Blessed Lent, everybody, getting close to Passion Sunday and Passion Week, and of course, ultimately getting close to Holy Week as well, 46% drop is very, very good. Speaking of Holy Week, The Chosen, The Last Supper Part 2, so we had Part 1 last weekend, Part 2 this weekend, expected to make around $6 million, tends to be the amount of money that you would typically expect from a Fathom event and also from The Chosen. Snow White. Now, this is, I think, also another big story here. So not only is a Minecraft movie going to make more than the entirety of the run of Snow White in just one weekend and is ultimately going to dominate it in its totals, and again, I think that speaks volumes about how bad Disney is as far as its current state is concerned, but the fact that in its third weekend, it is now dropping another 59% is abysmal. Normally, when you have family films, they don't have giant week 2 drop-offs, but even more so, even if they do have one, they usually have stronger holds in week 3, week 4, and so on and so forth, usually in the 30s or 40s. So the fact that the projections right now have it close to 60% worth of a drop, guess what? This is definitely going towards being the lowest grossing film in the history of Disney when it comes to their live action remakes, and this could be one of the lowest grossing films that they have ever made. I mean, when we're talking about a film doing, Strange World territory. Like, Strange World was one of the worst box offices ever. And again, this is doing better than that. But still, the fact that we're even in that discussion, the fact that this is actually very much the Marvel's territory of box office, just shows you how bad things really are for Disney and for this movie. It is going to be really, really bad. We'll have the full breakdown of that coming up this weekend. The Woman in the Yard dropping 57%. Again, horror film, not surprising there. Death of Unicorn from A24 dropping 55%. So pretty high, it seems, for an A24 film. And then Brave New World is still hanging around, but still also not quite at $200 million domestic, and ultimately is a box office flop. Let's go over and look at what the numbers are for Box Office Pro. They also have the film for a Minecraft movie being around 85 to 100 million. So they think 100 million is going to be around the ceiling for the film. So I definitely do think that the film will be well over $100 million. Again, just based off the general sentiments. I don't think the reviews of the film are going to be very good. I don't think the audience reviews are going to be all that good either. We, of course, will check over on Critic List just to, again, see exactly what the audiences are. We like to do things live here on OMB Reviews. It helps keep me honest. And as you can see, not enough people so far have gone to see it, but there is a decent score, a rad score from Blaine. Blaine sometimes has some pretty bad takes. I love you, Blaine, on Critic List, but man, oh man, sometimes your takes are really, really bad. Dark Forest has a rad score. Samuel has a bogus score, heinous score from Hacker Reviewer, a decent and bogus score. So pretty mixed overall. So that actually could benefit the film, because it means that there is going to be a portion of the audience that is going to walk away from the film with a positive review, with a positive thought. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly where the general audiences fall on this, but I think this is also why we're seeing the film likely making around $100 million this weekend. Chosen Last Supper, expected to be the second place film according to theirs, 10 to 12 million, so they're a little bit more bullish there on The Chosen, doing well. Working Man, $79 million there, so again, still a pretty strong hold for a Working Man according to Box Office Pro. Going over to Box Office Report, so you can see 102 million is what they are projecting for the domestic opening. Would make sense to me. Chosen at 7.9, Working Man at 7.4, and then Snow White having a 60% drop. So the fact is, yeah, Snow White is going to be an abysmal failure. Really no surprise at all when we break it down. Now going over to our charts, because we love Chauncey on OMB Reviews, as you can see, with a projected budget of around $150 million, the break-even point for a Minecraft movie will probably be close to $450 million, again, according to the current market. Now, the film is going to be making $100 million domestic in its opening, and likely going to drive out a lot of audiences just for the lulz. Guess what? You have a film that I think very much could easily get to that break-even point, and could even potentially, and again, still very early, I'm still not going to say that this is a guarantee, but I don't think that $1 billion is off the table for this movie. And again, depends on those internationals. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. If the internationals reject this movie, okay, game over. This film won't make $1 billion, but it will probably still make enough to break even. Again, when you have that kind of a domestic opening in the current market, that is definitely a good thing. Will it be enough, right, to drive more and more people out there, especially if people say, hey, do I really want to spend money on a film that is really, really bad? Now, again, some people want to spend money because they think they're going to have fun. They think it's going to be a good time. So that might be enough for a lot of people out there. Again, I need a little bit more than just that in my own life, but hey, everyone's a little bit different. Last update from From Box Office Mojo, had a working man up to $36 million, so $42 million in the red. So yeah, I think that this film will easily get past $50 million worldwide this weekend. So it's going to be pretty close. I think that it's going to be, in the maybe 30s, or at the very least, maybe even the 20s as far as its actual losses. So it's definitely going to be on the pathway to potentially breaking even. But still, again, we have a little bit more time left on that one. We'll probably see a similar story with Death of a Unicorn, Woman in the Yard. Those films have a chance of breaking even. Take a little bit longer there. Snow White, last update, was $146 million. So just, again, bad news overall for Snow White. This film set to be a massive catastrophic failure, even if you were to assume that reported budget that's still going around of $270 million, that would still mean probably close to $300 million worth of losses for this movie, if not even more. So yeah, those are right now the projections. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that a Minecraft movie is going to make $100 million? Do you think the film is going to be any good? Have you seen the film? And do you think it's any good? Again, for me, I'm going to give this film a heinous, because I think it is just completely awful in every single way. But hey, you might have a different thought. Let me know your thoughts on the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button. Make sure you also smash the rumble button as well. You guys are all amazing and beautiful. Have a wonderful rest of your day, a blessed Friday of the 4th week of Lent. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge special shout out to all of my Chosen of Valhalla members, starting off first with my people on Patreon, Father Luca Illick and Miss Martin Muses. Check out her YouTube channel by the same name, Miss Martin Muses. Also to my Subscribe Star people, Matt317. Check out his Twitch channel by the same name, Matt317. And lastly to my YouTube member, Mr. Roy. Shout out to you, good sir. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, check out the top link in the video description below where you get access to that. Also, you get access to a plethora of other things. You get your name listed at the end of every live stream and video, like you saw in those names that came up before this video started. And also access to a giveaways channel that I host over on the Discord server where I give away 4Ks, Steelbooks, Blu-rays, all kinds of stuff. So check that out if you're interested in that. Also, I have an exclusive podcast that I hold at least once a month, and it's always a good time, and you get extra bonus content with that also. So if any of that sounds interesting, again, check out that top link in the video description below. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.